How are you, Malik?
It's an honor. Really, it's an honor.
How are you doing? How have you been?
The introduction alone. You know, I've been good. I mean, trying to settle down very well and balance myself. It's time for action, and I believe strongly that His Excellency the President put me there for a particular reason, and we've got to accomplish it. I was one of the people who championed the issue of high unemployment under the previous government. And one of my worries was that very little opportunities were being created for the younger generation. That posed a very huge security threat on all of us. And so anytime I saw the police report, you could simply just oppose it to the rate of unemployment in this country, because security is on the low. I mean, security threats are on the high, and unemployment is on the rise. Obviously, it will tally, because the devil will usually find work for the idling man. And that is why, right when I was appointed, I knew one of the first people I was going to go into battle with was the devil, because we are going to find work for the sustainable work for the idling man. And the devil would definitely be in competition with us, because we are taking his people from him. And so, in the past few weeks, we've been very particular and very deliberate about the sort of jobs we want to find for our people. We have realized the fact that we cannot fully depend on public sector jobs, because obviously public sector may not be sufficient to accommodate all the younger generation coming up. So we must delve into the private sector. Very important, and amazingly, the president is poised towards implementing the 24-hour economy. That means that we're going to have enough room, both in the public sector and in the private sector, to recruit a lot of younger people. And we look forward to taking advantage of that system. I have repeatedly said that, look, we've, from 1957 till date, or if you want before 1957, we've operated at an 8-hour corridor. What happens to the 12 hours? We go back home and we sleep. Yet, we still underproduce. We still import in huge quantities. Just last month, I was told that, absolutely, I was told that the importation of even mango into this country was more than a 5 billion or so. I stand to be corrected. And it's surprising. Onion to about 2 billion, pepper about 1.5 billion, including wele into this country. As for commodities we manufacture, that one even zero, because we manufacture very little in this country. Look, since I was born, Don Simon has always been on the rise. Don Simon. In fact, currently, there is no bar or no shop you enter and not find Don Simon. Yet we don't produce Don Simon locally. It's imported from Spain. And it's infiltrated our economy, not only the Ghanaian economy, but all other African countries. Yet we also produce calipo locally. Why can't we produce calipo in huge quantities to the extent that we'll be able to export? It's simply because we've not had enough labor for that particular workforce. And we think that leveraging a 24-hour economy will create jobs, sustainable jobs, will boost local productivity, and also, enhance our export-led corridor. And that's what we situate ourselves in. In the last few days, I've personally, through the direction of the visionary President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, solicited some slots from the private sector. I can confidently say that, adding on to what we met, we currently have about 3,250 available jobs in the private sector. This afternoon at 2 p.m., I'll be signing an MOU with G4S Security Services to recruit close to 6,000 young people through facilitation. 2 days ago, I was at TVET to support Guinness Ghana in launching the Guinness Skill Training Phase 2. That recruited about 200 people, training them in hospitality services. These are all jobs we could take advantage of. And as I speak today, by the end of the week, we soliciting some other private sector jobs that will add about 500 people onto our job vacancy corridor. And so we are currently leveraging the private sector. And we're doing so because the budget hadn't been read and allocations hadn't been made. Now the budget has been read and allocations has been made. It means that we're going to tap into our models like the youth in afforestation, the youth in community service, community policing system, the youth in prisons, the youth in immigration. And this time we're taking a step further because we want to meet up with the various security agencies. So anytime recruitments are going to be made, at least 30% will be taken, will be absorbed from our community police system, community immigration system, the prisons assistance, and all of that. Adding on to it, we are creating 2 apps. One, where the employer goes on to search for an employee.
Okay.
And 2, when the employee goes on to search for an employer. So it's going to be a 2-way app. So we're going to offload our skill training. Currently, we have close to 10,000 people undergoing 10 skills: welding, hairdressing, tailoring, makeup. You ladies call it, I think they call it beauticians, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
beauty artistry.
I call them makeup artist, beautician, absolutely, and all these skill training. Once they are done, we'll offload them onto the app where you would go on to look for an employee. And what we want to do is to bridge the gap where a customer is in search of a particular skill and does not know how to go about it. In fact,
You know, not to cut you, you know, many times people say we're training people in these skills. Afterwards,
absolutely.
Then what?
Then what? So that's what we want to do now. We want to bridge that gap, because you train someone in hairdressing, the person finishes. In fact, with YE, we give you a startup kit, but our evaluation report tells us that very little of them go back to practice the skill they actually learned, because they may get into other ventures and all of that, and sometimes due to lack of demand. But you know, out there in the external world, we have high demand for a lot of the skill we underutilize in this country.
Okay.
In fact, I had a deal we still studying in Berlin, and I was told that, in Serbia, I was told that in Serbia, you would have to book a tiler for about 3 months ahead of time before you could get a tiler. You have to book a mason 4 months ahead of time before you could get a mason. Yet we have enough masons we've trained here. We have enough tilers. So why don't we leverage our migration window, legal migration window? And so we set up a department called the Work Abroad at YE. Currently on Friday, the 18th, we'll be launching it, the Work Abroad program, in alliance with the Ministry of Employment, the ministry, my mother ministry, the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Empowerment, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to set up a migration window. So this app we're creating currently is going to first be piloted in Ghana and in Dubai.
Okay.
So our skilled labor are going to be migrated. Part of them are going to be migrated abroad. And what we're going to do is that if you are in Dubai and you need a tiler, you just log on to the Ghana Job Connect app. You log on to it, and then you see whatever skill you need there. In Ghana, if you set a GH1 today, what we want to do is that if you set a GH1, for example, you have a tiling issue, you came to work and a tile is raised, you don't have to take your phone struggling to get a tiler. Just log on to the app, and then your location will be picked on the app.
Proximity.
Absolutely. And you'll be given tilers that are within your jurisdiction, at least 100, 200, 300 meters far away from you. So within 10 minutes, you should be able to just click on it, and then the tiler will come to your location.
You raised a very critical point, that if somebody is in Dubai and they want a tiler in Ghana, how does the person then pay for airfare and everything?
No. What I mean is that we are migrating labor
all of them
to Dubai. Not
okay.
all labor, part of the labor,
okay.
the excess labor to Dubai. And so that particular skill that is needed there would land them there, and our embassy there will, our embassy there will facilitate their smooth stay in Dubai. So people.
Are you then going to set up an annex in Dubai?
No, we have a work abroad team. That's going to work with the foreign affairs and work with the embassies there. We have embassies there that already work for Ghanaians out there. We have a consulate in Dubai. We have an embassy in Abu Dhabi. And so once we land our labor there, they are going to facilitate the connectivity between our labor and the Dubai authorities. So we'll sync our people into their system, and anyone around there who needs a particular skill would easily get it on our app. Then we expanded to other countries. Like I spoke of Serbia, I spoke of Germany, and all other countries that will need our skill. In the future, we should operate in more than 10 countries. We're looking forward to implementing that ASAP. I told you on Friday, the work abroad corridor is going to be launched. These things I'm mentioning are for the informal sector. Then we come to the formal sector. One of the things we've realized is that a lot of graduates finish school, they undertake national service, and companies are still afraid to recruit a lot of these people. All they tell you is that, look, go and get an experience. But the question is that which company is going to risk employing you first before another company that says get the experience will gradually take you later in the future after you've worked with a company for about 10 years. And so it's become a challenge. And as young people, I think that's worrying. Look, young people go out there with CVs. The businessman will take your CV and all he's looking for is work experience. If he doesn't see any work experience, he says, look, you don't have a work experience. I need somebody with at least 10 years. Where did that person with 10 years, where did he get it? There was a point he had no work experience and a company hired him. So why is it that we are challenged with employing people who just came out of school and undertook their national service? I think that the challenge had to do with the assurance the person could do that particular work. And so at YEA, we are setting up a corridor where we create what we call the employment card. Before you attain the employment card, we will take the risk of absorbing you as a graduate who's undertaking national service. We'll absorb you into one of our models, would give you that skill, and would issue that employment card. That employment card will certify to any employer that this person does not have 10 years experience, but the employment card that has been issued to him means that the person can serve as an accountant, the person can serve as a treasury head, the person could serve as an estate officer. Because we have given the person that additional soft skill, we have trained the person, we have tested the person, and the person could be absorbed without 10 years experience. If you travel abroad, for example in the UAE, they have what we call the Emirates card. Once you get that Emirates card, nobody looks out for employment. They believe that you are certified and you could work in any institution, any skill you went to learn. And that's similar we want to implement in this country, because we want to issue people with that employment card. That will bridge the gap of the 10 years working experience so companies could feel free to recruit people. Another support we want to give to the 24-hour economy is that, and we are still in talks, the time of use tariff will be implemented. Security will be provided to companies, and also a reduction in taxes will be provided to companies. However, the man who runs a company will need additional staff in order to quickly start the 24-hour economy before the benefits of the time of use tariffs kicks in, before the reduction in taxes kick in, then he's able to pay his people. So we have what we're going to attach to our model called the industrial attachments. We're going to recruit people and then attach them to all these companies. So we'll train them in the soft skill. So if Malcolm wants to go 24-hour economy, you could apply to us. We'll give you additional workforce that would work in the night for you. You could mix them with your already existing labor. Would absorb the cost of the financing, and then we'll take care of them. They would get daily stipends.
Is it something you're starting immediately, or is it a gradual thing? Because we all know that in Ghana, after 6 p.m., everybody goes to sleep.
Absolutely.
After 8 p.m., Malcolm closes.
Absolutely.
And who would want to come out in the night to risk security issues and go shopping?
The issue with security has already been catered for. And in fact, we would add additional security through the police assistance services with the CPA model. The issue that's got to do with time of use tariff has also been tackled already in our budget. The issue that's got to do with reduction in taxes has already been tackled in our budget. All these levies that have already been absorbed clearly shows that this government is poised for action. The last one is the additional staff, like I spoke about, and we've infused it in our budget under industrial attachments. And once we do that, immediately we would support companies that are willing to go a 24-hour economy with additional staff. We will give them incentives at the beginning stages, and after some time, when the benefits of all these external remedies come in, you will take care of your own stuff, because by which time you would have declared a lot of profits and you would see the benefits and the need of a 24-hour system, and then immediately...
You seem to have a very broad vision, right? What's the target for tackling youth unemployment?
In the first year, we're looking at close to 200,000 people from YEA alone. In the first year, we're looking at solving the issue of unemployment, creating jobs for about 200,000 people from the Youth Employment Agency alone. I'm not speaking about other agencies. I'm not speaking about the GRA. I'm not speaking about the DVLA. I'm not speaking about the NIA. I'm speaking about the Youth Employment Agency. We will create about 200,000 jobs. And in the long run...
Which sectors are you looking at?
We're looking at skill training, where we're going to create direct jobs, where the people go out to create indirect jobs. We're looking at the community policing assistance as part of our model, where we're going to create about 15,000 jobs there. We're looking at the youth and immigration, where we're going to create about 5,000 jobs. We're looking at the industrial attachments, where we're creating about 7,000 jobs there. And so I could go on and on. So many models out there, including training people to get indirect jobs. And the issue about demand comes in here. Okay. Just 2 days ago, we had a meeting, a discussion around a company that produces bricks in this country. And they bend the brick, and they're able to mold the brick, and they're able to use the bricks in construction works. And then the brick company told us that, look, currently they are so understaffed to the extent that they have demands as far as 1 year ahead. Demand. So there are people who have booked them, and the only available dates is towards the end of the year. Okay. So someone wants to build a house using only brick, because of course brick is carbon friendly, and the future generation is gradually moving out of block and going back to brick. Yeah. Then they say, look, currently they don't have enough staff. People have come with so many orders. So sometimes they have to even flex the people. When you come, they tell you, look, we can be available to construct your house using brick maybe next year, in 2026 January. And they told us that, look, they need a lot of staff. So we have infused under community service a proposal where at least in the first year, about 2,000 people should be trained from the informal sector in brickworks. So we could mitigate that gap between the brick producers and the customer base. Once we do that, I think that the people who are demanded for brick construction and were put somewhere January 2026 would have enough staff to have their job done. So it isn't the case in this country that we don't have demand for particular things. Look, we have demand. 2 days ago, we had a thinking around the office, and at the management meeting, we just thought around. Lily, how many watch repairers do you find in town today? Watch repairers.
You can't even find
Absolutely. So your watch gets damaged. And if you don't have the luxury of traveling abroad to get it fixed up, especially if it's an engine watch, then you may have to put it there and think of where you could get money to get a new one. Yet you go to China and you go to Korea, and there are young people, young children learning how to even make watches and fix watches. What's happening to our economy?
Isn't it because we do not place premium on such skills?
Absolutely. It's a factor. But it's also because we haven't made available the corridor to train people in such skill. Look, the scale of hospitality, there were people who said they didn't need it. I remember when I shared the flyer on my page, people said, oh, you want to train us in hospitality, we are not interested. A lot of people are, of course, some naysayers. Then after the close of application, we realized that about 850 people had applied. And we needed only 200. I kept thinking, what is going to happen to the remaining people who had applied but had not been enrolled? So it isn't the case that people are not readily available to learn these skills. It's because the avenue for learning these skills have not been provided. As simple as that. And at YEA, we think that those avenues are going to be provided to the most little skill. Watch repairs, curtain, blinds repairs, and blind manufacturing. These are very little skill that, Lily, I think that we're gradually looking away of. And in the near future, we're going to struggle. Look, shoemakers. Those days in the morning, you find people moving by your window. Come, shoe. When was the last time you heard that? It's very difficult to even get a shoe repairer if your shoe develops a challenge. Yet, shoes are things we are going to continue wearing till the end of time, whether you like it or not. Until the last man dies, he will die in a shoe. So we must expand the skill in that corridor. And there are people that, look, there are grades of employment. And that is why I respect anyone doing any kind of trade, because it's a value chain.
Absolutely.
And if you don't respect anyone doing any kind of skill, you'll be found wanting one day. If your shoe gets damaged and you're a bank manager and you don't find someone who repairs shoes, you'll be found wanting. So you need that person and you must respect that person. And the human being is created in such a way that everyone appreciates what particular skill he's meant to do. They all appreciate it. So don't think that if you write a post where you need people to train them in shoemaking, you won't get people to apply. It's not true. There are people out there who want to learn it. And once you put a post out, people will come and learn it. Ignore the naysayers. Ignore those who say, look, they are not interested in this. I remember the Nkokon Kete policy, Lily, when it was first brought out. Then people went to town, criticizing and insulting it. But you know what happened? We won in all the Bono areas in this election. The reason is that the Bono region is particularly known for poultry production. And Nkokon Kete was a major policy to them. But the MPP never thought about that. They even sang songs, NDC, Nkokon Kete. And I mean, you are teasing someone's, what someone depends
daily
on
bread.
for livelihood. Someone's daily bread. And you are teasing it. And you think it's supposed to go out there as a mockery. And you go out there and you are laughing. Nkokon Kete, and Ejo Mahama Nedeba. Yes, yeah, then Nkokon Kete, but we won in the Bono areas because the Bono people needed salvation to their poultry production. When I was growing up, at a point in time, you know, I mean, not when I was growing up, when I was growing in somewhere in 2014, 2015, 2016, a crate of eggs went for 12 Ghana cedis, 10 Ghana cedis. Today, a crate of eggs goes for 70 cedi. They handed over to us at 70 cedi. Then somebody talks of a policy that will salvage the situation, and you go out there saying Nkokon Kete. Yet you don't have any policy that will reduce the prices of eggs in the market. Akoko, those days how we call it Akoko Funu. When you go to the market to buy Akoko Funu, those days used to go for 15 cedis, 20 cedis. Today I'm told it goes for about 250 cedis, 300 cedis. One broiler. And it's not worrying to you. All the party, the previous government was thinking about was to go out there teasing on Nkokon Kete. Yes, we said we would implement Nkokon Kete. The people of the Bono region appreciated it. I only gave this example to let you understand that everyone has what is meant for the person.
Exactly.
Don't feel shy advertising in the job opportunity. There's one man out there whose life depends on that job vacancy. And once you advertise it, he will go for it and he will utilize it. Ignore the one who doesn't need it. He doesn't understand it, and that's why he doesn't need it. The one who understands it actually needs it. And so, Lily, those are the few things we've been doing at YA so far. In the coming days, by next month, we'll be commissioning and graduating close to 10,000 skilled training people. I already told you. And once we are done,
that was done within a month?
No, the skill, it was in phases.
Okay.
And so we're doing it in different phases. And then there was a continuation of that particular skill.
Okay.
And
so that is what you inherited, is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
part of it. And so we'd add on to it when we'd graduate them, and then we add on to it in the coming days. And once we graduate them, we'd absorb them onto this app because we have created an exit plan for them. Like you rightly asked, we train them, and after that, one next. This time, the issue of one next is going to be solved, and we're going to create employment, sustainable employment for all these people who are going to graduate.
So you're still listening to, you're still watching GH1 TV, Heart Talk, and my guest is still Malik Basintale. Now, one of the very things that the NPP has talked about is letting go of hands in various agencies. Is that something he has also done? And what is the state of the YA that he met?
Well, YA, I will admit, done a lot in the past. I must commend previous CEOs from 2006, when it was the National Youth Employment Agency, to when it was JIDA. I mean, a little issues around JIDA, but it was restructured. And if you remember, YA, the LI, and the regulations were all brought forth under the NDC in 2016. So we had Act 887 and then the LI 2231. And I mean, it's from there, it's progressed steadily because the framework to managing the entire institution was developed. And we are where we are today. When I came into office, there was this issue of mechanization.
Okay.
And the chief of staff actually issued a letter asking that all mechanized staff within the last minutes of the previous government cannot be absorbed. And I agree entirely with him, Lily. The reason is that you've been in power for 8 years. And I think that some of those NPP people, I mean, let me not say NPP people, some of the youths who were even mechanized during the last stages must be angry with the previous government. Because you've been in power for 8 years.
Procurement takes time.
for 8 years. The president's daughter, Jan Kroma, had a job within 1 year. Were there no procurement issues? Asafo Mafu's 2 children had employment within 1 year. Were there no procurement delays? Dr. Bawumia's father-in-law had a job within 1 year. Were there no procurement issues? And so why is it that when it has to do with family and friends of the previous government, they had jobs quickly? Wow. When it had to do with the ordinary Ghanaian, it had to take 8 years. And so that is neither here nor there. But I'm saying that you wait for 8 years, and then in the last month, you quickly absorb people onto an agency. And you expect that the one who is coming without budgetary allocation for all these people will come and simply start paying them. Well,
there was budget allocation for 2024.
Okay, and in that budget, did they make provision for the absorption of all these people? No, because if you listened to the transition teams, they particularly requested for the budgetary allocation for all these stuff, and none was provided. And we have things we wanted to do. Okay. You've seen the budget, and I'm sure we'll come to that.
Exactly.
Because obviously, we were yet to draft our budget, and we knew what we wanted to take out. And so you cannot take a decision and force it on the next government. However, we are poised to creating sustainable jobs. And in our budget, we've listed various corridors we are going to, invest in creating sustainable jobs for the young people of this country. So people who did not go through the mechanization and all of that need not to worry. In the coming days, provisions will be made for them, and all those people will get sustainable jobs in this country.
Did you have to let go certain people at YA?
No, at YA, what happened was that there was a mechanization challenge. As we speak today, there's an audit ongoing because there were 1 or 2 issues with it. So it's an in-house decision pegged onto the letter as issued from the Chief of Staff's office, because, he's the boss, and you cannot never dream of challenging his authority. And so we taking steps pegged onto his letter. I think that the letter was issued. So even at YA, you don't need to issue an extra letter saying that, look, people who were mechanized or whatever cannot be enrolled. You don't need to do that, because the Chief of Staff solved that particular issue. He issued a fiat, and he's bigger than all of us. Once he does that, it cuts across all agencies. So if you are affected by the Chief of Staff's letter, I'm saying that the Chief of Staff has better plans for all of us, and in the coming days, the youth of this country will smile and smile brighter.
There was an issue about your deputy CEO. Has that challenge been resolved?
Oh, resolved long ago. I think that it was just a miscommunication out there. It's been resolved. YA is progressing steadily, and I think that, look, Lily, we are going to get the job done. Trust me, we're going to get a job done. All we have to do...
Are you going to get it done with the 3K men and 5K women?
Yes, the 3K men and 5K women, like I said, was a term and a language that was used during the election. Right after the election, the 3K men and 5K women still exist because they are Ghanaians. And once they are Ghanaians, they've got to be sorted. And so the 3K, 5K, you could be a member of the 3K women. I don't know, because we haven't really had an album for registering anyone. Yesterday, I was in Parliament, and a worker at Parliament, one of the directors told me, Mr. Basintale, I'm part of the 3K women. I said, wow, I'm proud to meet you. And so we keep meeting many of them out there. And of course, all of them being part of this country. Look, the 5K men, yesterday were jubilating. One of the reasons why the 5K men were jubilating was because the bet tax has been scrapped. Promise fulfilled. The 5K men were jubilating. Why were they jubilating? Because e-levy has been scrapped. The 5K men were jubilating. Why were they jubilating? Because the emission tax has been scrapped. The 3K women were also jubilating. Why? Because additional funding has been procured for free SHS. And in fact, 3.5 billion has been allocated. The 3K women were jubilating. Why were they jubilating? Because the NHIL had been uncapped and more money was going into the NHIL corridor, which means that we're going to get value for the services that will be provided to us at the hospitals. The 3K women were jubilating. Why were they jubilating? Because the free primary health care has been brought into force. And so there's enough reason why the 5K men and the 3K women are happy and were happy yesterday. One of the reasons why the 5K men were happy was because of the legalization of Okada. Because they thought that they've been harassed for so long. Now Okada is going to be legalized, is going to be regulated and properly institutionalized for us to respect the Okada man, while the Okada man also respects the driver and the pedestrian on the road. Once that is done, we have a very serene economy. And so, it's not in my personal interest to say the 3K men or the 5K men were happy and all of that. They were happy, and we know they were happy because of the promises we made to them. How did I win the 3K men or the 5K men? I won them simply because we assured them we're going to scrap the bed tax. We assured them we're going to scrap the COVID levy. We assured them we're going to scrap the e-levy. We assured them we're going to create sustainable jobs for them. We assured them of a serene economy. We told them obnoxious taxes were going to be cleared. We told them how we're going to manage the economy. And Lily, yesterday you testified that indeed that has been done. So there's enough reason for all the 5K men and the 3K women to be smiling. Yesterday, I made a very strong case that, look, I will feel proud. In fact, henceforth, I need to change my walking and walk like Al Masro. Right? President Mahama has made me proud. I'm a proud young man. His Excellency JM has made me proud. I feel proud, though. Look, I'm excited this morning, I won't lie, because the man has done what Nebuchadnezzar could not do. Look, when we're campaigning...
In this case, who is Nebuchadnezzar?
Oh, biblical terms, Nebuchadnezzar existed. In the last government, Nebuchadnezzar existed. But you see, in doing the campaign, I went out there and I made solemn statements. After the election, I made a point on TV that my headache now is for us to wait and see how we're going to implement it. The promise keeper, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who never fails, has done what Nebuchadnezzar could not do. And he's done it and done it properly. I have enough reason to walk proud in the market. In fact, I have enough reason to start walking from work to the house because I can face anyone face to face. I'm not shy. In the last government, 2 days to even the budget reading, the Deputy Finance Minister said the haircuts will never come, the bonds will never be slashed and all of that. 2 days. Then at the budget reading, they introduced the haircut. So, I mean, it was a terrible situation for even their communicators. Because I was on TV, I remember, before the haircut situation. And the communicator said, oh, the haircuts, the bonds will never be slashed and there will be no haircuts and all of that. Then after the budget, I came on TV with him again and I said, but you told us you will not scrap it. You won't implement the haircut situation. What actually is happening? And he was quiet. So the previous government put their own communicators, even an embarrassing situation in previous times, and their own appointees. Their MPs were embarrassed. Yesterday, if you looked at the demeanor of their minority, the micro-minority in parliament, Lily, it was terrible. You could see they felt that their party had collapsed, and they felt that maybe they should just forget the MPP and go into other ventures. Do
you think so? Because they have termed the budget the Sakawa budget.
How?
Since we're talking about
it's not about terming it. It's about explaining why it is termed as Sakawa. So they should tell us how. Why? They came and told us. And you see,
one of the things that, Sakawa is literally scam, right? One of the things that the former finance minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, says was that we didn't implement the Burton tax.
You see, I like Dr. Amin Anta so much. But one of these days, I'll lose my cool on him. And I'll lose my cool because you cannot take us for granted. Look, this is a bet slip. When you are
you an investor?
No, you see, and the issue with betting, Lily, the issue with betting is not about, the issue with bet tax, it's not about morality. It's about fairness and greediness. It's not about morality. We're not talking about betting. We're talking about the tax you've imposed on it. In other words, if you, Dr. Baumia, and I used to say it, say betting is haram, yet you are now telling the man that when he wins the bet, he should give you 10% to drink. So you don't like dog meat, but you say they should give you dog soup to drink. Have you seen some before? So clearly, it was a confused situation. So the issue with bet tax has nothing to do with whether you partake in it or you don't partake in it. It has to do with the rule of fairness. And we thought that in all honesty and fairness, if you did not work for a particular thing, you shouldn't chop from it. Monkey cannot work for baboon to chop. The young man cannot use his money to go and bet. And after he wins the bet, you say, give me 10% out of it.
That statement you made generated some controversy on social media a while back.
Yes.
When some members of the NDC allegedly were peeved that they did not get appointments.
of monkey they work, babu the chop. Yeah. Oh, I don't think that members of the NDC were peeved they didn't get appointments. I think that we've reduced the number of ministers we previous governments appointed.
And size of government.
And we're coming to that. And I'm going to explain why the current government has done what Nebuchadnezzar could not do. In past times, I never believed that a government could run a country with 60 ministers. I never believed it. Even me, Malik Basintale, I never.
You were going about campaigning, you didn't believe in that?
But I was skeptical.
Okay.
I must be honest. In all fairness, this is a sincere conversation. I was wondering, and anytime I met His Excellency the President, I said, sir, can you run the country with 60 ministers? He said, I can do more than that. I said, wow, okay. Who would say? And for me, one of the inspirations I had was that I know the man, John Dramani Mahama, and I know who he is, and I know how he keeps his word. John Mahama will not say A and do B. I know him. So once I ask him something and he says, Malik, the Basintale boy, say this. I go out there and I say it. And I kept thinking, but look, we have drafted our budget, we have implemented policies with 56 ministers, not 60, 56. Currently we have 56. Yeah. So it means that when he said that we can do more than that, has been achieved. He still has a luxury of appointing 4 ministers. Yet, a particular government, the previous government, CC were running this country with 120 ministers. And yet they were flying private jets at £14,000 an hour. Yet they implemented the bed tax. Yet they implemented COVID levy. Yet they implemented the mission tax. Yet they implemented e-tax. They capped the GET fund. They capped the NHIL. In fact, even communication service tax was capped. Yet you were running this country with 120 ministers. So what were the ministers doing? One of these days, I would love to meet the former president, Mr. Akufo-Addo, and ask him what his ministers were doing. Because 57 ministers with a nation builder, John Dramani Mahama.
56.
56, sorry. With a nation builder like John Dramani Mahama, have done what 120 ministers with Akufo-Addo could not do. How? It doesn't tally. Like, they must explain to us. So, this budget mustn't just end here. We need to set up...
Beyond the...
We need to set up a commission of inquiry.
Okay.
To ask Mr. Akufo-Addo what his 120 ministers, together with him, he himself, and his economic whisket, Dr. Baumia, were doing for the past 8 years. We need to ask them. They need to explain to us. And if I were an MPP communicator this morning, I would have looked at in the faces of Dr. Baumia and Nanado and told them the truth. That, look, says, you have disappointed us. You failed the country. And never again should you or Baumia or any of you come near any form of authority in this country. Because you were a disaster, clearly. Because, 56, together with President Mahama, have done what 120 with Nanado and Baumia could not do. How? So what were you doing in this country? 56 ministers. You see,
will the taking away of all these taxes not hurt our economy, especially an economy that is currently under the IMF?
For an economy, and you see, that's also a point I was coming to. We were told in the past that as a result of the IMF program, we couldn't clear COVID levy. We couldn't clear bed tax. They were lies, so they were pure lies. We have proven it. Are we not under IMF?
Yeah.
Have we not cleared bed tax? Yeah. Have we not cleared COVID levy? So what were they telling us? Pure lies.
COVID levy is to be
abolished. Of course, once it's appeared in the budget, it will be done. So clearly, the MPP were simply deceiving us. And you know what they did? Because they knew the lies they were telling, they refused to give us the IMF document. Till date, nobody has a comprehensive agreement document of Ghana and the IMF. Till date. All they did were to give us samples, pages they wanted to give us. And if you remember, the minority kept asking for it because they knew they were lying. These were monies Baumia and Nanado simply wanted to collect and chop. And what saddens my heart, I was talking about the Amin Anta situation. This is a bet slip. Somebody won 2,300. Baumia quickly went in there and took 200.
If you can show it to my camera so the camera can quickly capture it.
If this is the camera, this is it. This is it.
Okay.
So the person won, good. The person won his bet of 2,300. You will see the withholding tax there. The deduction of 216 CD, 70 pesos was deducted for no job done. Baumia, you didn't contribute in the staking of the bet. You didn't use your money. If the one who staked the bet had lost the bet, his money would have gone free. Your money wasn't part of it. Now the person has won, and you want monkey to work and babu to chop, for you to just go and take free money. Then Amin Anta comes to tell us yesterday that they never implemented the bet tax.
Yeah.
La ilaha illallah.
But this morning I played for viewers a video of Dr. Baumia during his vision, when he was outlining his vision in somewhere February 2024 at the UPSC, where he said that if he was given the nod, he was going to abolish the bet tax.
So who brought the bet tax? So if you said you never implemented it, why did Baumia say he will abolish it? That's the first question. Number two, you brought bet tax and you tell us vote for me so that I'll come and remove it again. What kind of thinking is that? I mean, Ghanaians are discerning. Then this is the GRA report. This is 6 October 2023. GRA generates 50 million from betting tax. Target 60 million by end of football season. In fact, within 2 years, they generated 80 million from the bet tax. And you come and tell us it was never implemented. You see, this matter, I don't need to call the MPP liars. The youth out there of whom the deductions affected will call them liars. And yesterday, if you observe social media, young people were so angry. Wait, how can you tell me that after all the deductions you've made, you tell me you never implemented, you never deducted? So where were the monies going to? So I think that, look, in as much as you are a minority, you should also remain responsible. And please, as a minority, you must respect Ghanaians. Look, you disrespected Ghanaians while in power. You disrespected Ghanaians even during the campaign season. When Ghanaians were unemployed and wanted jobs, anytime Baumia and Nanado appeared before them, the first thing is to tell the DJ to play Sisi Fianeme. Then John Baumia will go and say, Odome de Kanebema. These were the things you were doing to Ghanaians. Ghanaians got angry, they voted against you. Now in opposition, you still want to annoy us. Look, you cannot, they shouldn't pour sand in our garden, because sometimes when you over annoy the youth in opposition, they turn their anger towards the government. We have done enough for them, and the youth of this country is proud of what we did in our manifesto, in our budget, sorry. Now, one of the things I would want to add on is the fact that the 120-day social contracts have been duly fulfilled.
And we are not even up to 120 days.
Absolutely. Impressively. And that's one of the reasons why I want to salute His Excellency John Dramani Mahama this morning. Of course, together with his very venerable finance minister, Dr. Kessel Atuforsen. Atuforsen is a gem. And sometimes I ask myself, if MPP had wrongly jailed Atuforsen, if they had wrongly jailed him, but for the fact that God intervened and they were exposed, if they had jailed him, so who would have managed our economy? Because
you don't have the men?
Look, what Ato has done is beyond measure. And I'm certain in my heart.
Are you then saying that his predecessor, Setekbe, did not perform?
Oh, but if Setekbe did not perform, in 2017, MPP wouldn't have gotten the very good dividends they got. And Setekbe was there with Ato Forsen.
Exactly.
So the two of them...
Ato deputized.
Well, absolutely. They were fantastic. And that is why in 2017, we left a stabilized economy to the previous government. And now Ato has taken over and done much more. Every older person aspires or wants a younger generation to come and do more than he had done. Absolutely. And yesterday, Setekbe was in Parliament, feeling very proud because he was looking at his boy Ato and he was like, I'm proud of you, man. And His Excellency the President was proud, I know, of Dr. Kessel Atuforsen, because I mean they've sat through together with his team and they've drafted a document that relieves all of us of pain and imposes hope on us. And I think that anyone who listened to the budget yesterday was highly inspired by the words of Dr. Atuforsen. And so what I'm saying is that, look, I never believed that a government a budget could be so sweet and smooth like this particular budget. I never believed. Yesterday, everything that was said in the budget was spot on and met the requirement of every corridor in this country. All funds uncapped were done. In the 120-day social contract, we had stated that free tertiary education for year ones. It was captured in the budget. In fact, an allocation has been done to it. We stated that it was going to be free tertiary for disabled. It's been captured in the budget. An allocation has been done for it. National apprenticeship. I think about 100 million has been allocated to it. The National Coders Program, about 100 million has been allocated to it. And so our 120
the apprenticeship is 300 million.
300 million. The Jumaura 100 million, apprenticeship 300 million, Coders 100 million. And they've all been allocated to these funds. They were part of our 120-day social contract. The president has stated earlier that he was going to appoint his cabinet within the first 14 days. It was done. And so everything His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said have been achieved.
How different is the apprenticeship and the Ejumera program?
The apprenticeship program seeks to get staff, skilled people who want to work under their bosses or madams. And so I'm just breaking it down to the understanding of everyone. So if you're an apprentice or if you're someone who wants to learn a particular trade, you'll be attached to a particular madam or boss. And then the madam will be given support and you as an apprentice will be given support so that you learn under the feet of that particular madam. And then you'll be graduated and then you go into your skill training. The Jumaura seeks to create huge skill. And that's where we're going to implement what we call the Moniyo Fund. So in the Jumaura, jobs are going to be created for the younger generation through diverse skilled training again. But this time, not attached to a madam like it was done here. Other specified jobs are going to be newly created and all the youths are going to go out there and then benefit from all these jobs. And so these are major policies, big shots that we are going to tap into. The Coders program is going to train young people to the tune of over 1 million young people in coding, website developing, software configurations, and all of this. This particular skill do not only have local demand, but even international demand. I know of people who live in Ghana and develop websites for countries abroad, and they get huge sums of money.
Are we not going to encourage brain drain?
I mean, why brain drain? Because, I mean, whether we like it or not, anytime we are building big, how do you call it, big projects in this country, we go to bring Chinese, we go to bring Indians to come and construct them. So why is it that other countries that also need our skilled labor cannot come for our people? Is there a brain drain in legally bringing skilled labor from out there into our country? Brain drain occurs when you lack the skill and yet the skill is being migrated, most often illegally, into other jurisdictions. Currently in the medical sector, we lack, there's one nurse to about 40,000 patients in the nursing sector. Yet you have a lot of nurses still leaving the country.
And we are producing lots more nurses. This morning, Sanaba mentioned that. We have about 30,000 of them.
And a lot of them leave the country illegally to go and work for greener pastures. All because their terms of their conditions of service and all of that does not befit their status in this country. And so we think that we need to also tap into the international world using our skilled labor. Because if we have an excess of labor here, we obviously have to tap into the international world. I want to wake up one day and see that there's a contract in Serbia where Ghanaian contractors are going there to work. Look, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama currently runs a mining firm in Liberia. That's impressive for this country. I know of a man, yesterday I met a man who uses coconut shells to produce charcoal. He uses rice husks to produce charcoal. He uses palm kernel, palm fruit, to produce charcoal. And he told me, he mentioned a number of countries that had contracted him to come and train their people there. So I asked him a question. How many have we trained from Ghana? He said he's not gotten the needed support from the government. Yet governments of other countries contract him to come and train their people. I said, look, young man, His Excellency the President is interested in anyone who has a fruitful policy towards charcoal production. Because Lily, you come from the northern part of this country. Anytime you see trucks loaded with charcoal heading towards the staff, that is our forest going on. That is just the forest they have put on the truck and bring it to Accra. Because all those charcoal you see there were burnt out of shea nut trees. And our most precious tree in the north is the shea nut tree. Yet every morning, as we speak today, by now somebody is busy cutting a shea tree to go and burn charcoal. And then we see the trucks bringing charcoal, loads of charcoal to Accra. And we are happy that we'll get charcoal to cook. Yet the same people, we come again and we say, let's protect the forest. How will we protect the forest when the trees are bent down to produce charcoal for you and I to use in our kitchens? This man says no. The coconut shells, I mean the end product, the byproduct of it, could be bent into charcoal. And currently, if you go to Marina Mall, if you go to our malls, you find his products there. He packages it beautifully. I should have brought one this morning to show you. Very beautiful. Now, what that charcoal even does is it produces very less smoke. Okay. Which does not affect the ozone layer. And again, it helps reduce coconut waste on our streets. Sometimes in the morning you are driving and you see the Kube seller has piled a lot of coconut waste
and
on major streets.
They leave them by the road.
They leave them by the road. And we don't have use for them. Yet we are cutting down trees when coconut could be used to produce charcoal. So I told him, look, you know what? His Excellency the President is interested in this. I have the proposal, I have the samples. I'm going to present it to His Excellency the President. I'll present it to my Minister, Honorable George Parado. And then together would come out with a framework towards training more people in that production. When we do that, we'd reduce the felling of shea trees and would also clean our cities because the coconut waste are now going to be picked up for recycling, and they also still get our charcoal to use and export some. So it's a bigger picture, and I feel that the Ghanaian economy can utilize our skilled labor. Other countries are utilizing our people. I know some people in this country that work internationally, yet our own country does not or do not appreciate the work they do for us in this country. I think it's time we go international, and that's what my work abroad team seeks to promote. So in the coming days, we'll launch it, and all our skilled labor, part of them, the excesses in this country, will be taken abroad to also work and brighten the name of Ghana. What that also does for us is that when they go, they also learn new skill from those countries. So when they come back, they come and train us or enhance the already skilled labor here, the training, so that they could also meet international standards. Just last week, I got to know that our measurements are different from the international standard measurements. Yes. So if a mason goes abroad and they give him the measurements on a sheet of paper, he will get confused. The reason is that they are used to our 2 meters, 5 meters.
But not the international standards.
Not the international standards.
Okay.
The international standards have very different levels of measurements. And I was just told that we need to train our people to meet the international standards so we could do international constructions. That is why people want to build their houses these days and they go and bring Indians.
Rather bring in,
Nowadays, they even go to Cote d'Ivoire or Togo to bring masons. It's not that we don't have masons here, but the measurements they will use may get the diameters and all of that, the angles accurate, more than even our people locally. And so we need to enhance their training. Once we do that, we'll tap into the international markets.
There are 19 allocations in this particular budget.
Right.
The Member of Parliament for Fuasia UAB, Kujo Nkrumah, says all these allocations are just audio money. The challenge is raising money.
I don't understand it when he says audio money. You see, they are still confused with the sort of audio budgets they gave us in the past.
Right.
So they think that anybody will be like them because they will say one thing and do another. If he understands the concepts of budgets, once there's an allocation for it, it means that there's a fund already appropriated to that particular allocation. And we have said that 13.85 billion is going to be allocated to the Big Push program. It means that the finance minister has already made provision for that particular allocation. And the finance minister has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt how he's going to meet that. They spoke about a tax refund policy that was reduced. That alone is going to generate over 2 billion. The reduction in the number of ministers from 120 to 60 creates a lot of space to accumulate over 100 million annually to fund some of these projects. And for example, the Ejumaura, 100 million is going to be allocated. The reduction in the ministers alone can cater for that. Because we are no longer going to be paying these ministers these allowances. What is the money going to be sitting there doing? So we must use it to create jobs for the Ghanaian youth. President John Mahama says, I won't fly private jets unnecessarily like this previous Nanado was doing. So the money that was saved from it will be used in other ventures. And so there's enough funds that's going to be derived from a lot of corridors in this country, and the finance minister has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt. And we think that once those funds are derived and they are not used, unnecessarily. For example, under Nanado, so many presidential staffers, So many, more than 3,000. Office of Government Machinery, and we are allocating billions to them.
You have evidence to back that?
Absolutely, because the Office of Government Machinery is not hidden. You need to present the number to Parliament before they approve a budget to you. So it's in our budget statements. So it's not something that was hidden. It was something that was clearly stated. And every year they increased it. Look, at the presidency alone those days, we had more than 10 directors of communication. This of communication, that of communication, very unnecessary. Currently, under this government, we are doing less than 100. Currently, less than 100 at the presidency. And yet, we've been able to clear all these taxes. And that is why I'm saying that a commission of inquiry needs to be set up. Bring Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia before it to explain to us why they mismanage the economy, even with the huge number of staff they had running their government. Currently, the CEOs and deputies that were being done have still been done. Ministers reduced, staff reduced, expenditure reduced.
Okay.
And we're running the government smoothly.
Is Awal Mohammed still at YA?
Awal Mohammed is no longer with YA.
Okay.
Yes, but he's a public service worker. So definitely the public service will
absorb him.
No, he's a public service worker. So the public service has absorbed him already.
Okay.
That means that you cannot sack him.
Cannot touch him.
So and the reasoning is that once he's a public service worker, the public service, anytime you think that the person cannot work here, the public service will simply put him at the proper jurisdiction to work. And that matter will be resolved.
Okay. Will you hold a job fair?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We will. We would hold a job fair because, I mean, we need to also tap into the expertise of many people, and people need to share ideas. I'm always in for dialogue and at avenues where you could tap into the thinking and opinions of other people. I'm all for it. And in fact, the assumption of office, I've met many people and I'll continue to meet people. Once you come with your opinions, I listen to you. You have very good plans, very beautiful plans. I tell you, put it in a proposal form, bring it, and then we look into it. And then once we do that, we certify the entire system, and then it's done. Yes.
Thank you very much for visiting our studio once again. It's been a while we saw you.
I'm grateful, Lily, and I'll be coming more often. I mean, like I said,
this has always been your home.
Absolutely. His Excellency the President has made me a proud man. He's made me feel proud and confident. And I'm better than who I used to be because I feel that John Mahama is a promise keeper. He's one man. And I've stated that I am the Basintale boy named by the President. In my next world, I will still want to campaign for John Mahama. And in the world after that world, I will still want to campaign for John Mahama. And if there's no world again, I would campaign for him in heaven to get a very good position.